48 brake horsepower, 350cc. Standing lap time, 66.3 seconds. This is a rider's machine, valuable but replaceable. This is a rider's head, valuable and not replaceable. Protect yours by wearing a helmet. Always wear a safety helmet. Motorcycle and scooter on the fashion scene. Black leather favoured by Mike, the motorcyclist, for protection at speed. Fitted beige jacket in corduroy favoured by Richard for scooter riding. As pillion rider with Mike, Mandy keeps to the black leather theme. While Sue, the scooter girl, likes the comfort of a loose-fitting woolen jacket. White peaked helmet completes her outfit. For Richard, it's a deerstalker helmet. He thinks it's the tops. The tops for Mike and Mandy are a pair of matching silver helmets. Fashions come and go, but heads are here to stay. Get into the right gear. Always wear a safety helmet.
This road sign tells you that you're approaching automatic level crossing half barriers. They look like this. When a train is coming, a warning bell rings. The twin red lights flash and the half barriers come down. This means that everyone must stop. Within seconds, the train will pass. If the flashing lights continue and the barriers remain down, wait. Another train is coming. When the flashing lights stop and the barrier is raised, you may cross the line in safety. So remember, whenever you hear and see this, stop. You won't be kept waiting long. Don't try to beat the lights. And never attempt to cross once the barriers are down. Always remember, if the lights are flashing, stop and wait.
Check 4 for safety. Motorcyclists, check 4 things before you start. Check your light. Check your steering. Check your tires for pressure and for wear or damage. Check your brakes. Make sure they're working properly. Check 4. Maintain 4 for safety. Check 4. Motorists, check 4 things before you start. Check lights, side lights, headlights, rear lights. Check steering for undue play. Check tires for pressure and for wear or damage. Check brakes. Make sure they're working properly. 4 things to check and maintain regularly in your car. Lights, steering, tires and brakes. Check 4. Maintain 4 for safety.
Think I'd better overtake soon if I'm going to be in time to deliver Mrs. Johnson's baby. The road's clear ahead now. Must let him know I'm going to overtake.
On you go, my dear. Your delivery is more important than mine.
Mirror, signal, maneuver. Overtaking can be such a safe operation if you do it properly.
A driver without seatbelt has no protection when he most needs it. A driver with seatbelt can save a valuable life, his own. Always wear an approved seatbelt. A driver without seatbelt has no protection when he most needs it. A driver with seatbelt can save a valuable life, his own. Always wear an approved seatbelt.
He could have passed his test first time if he had studied this booklet on how to drive. For instance, this is what you should do at crossroads. What's in your mirror? Nobody about? No need to give a signal. Slow down, enough to stop if necessary. Look right, look left, and then look right again. If all's clear, go on. Make sure you read your driving test when you get it with your first provisional license and learn to be a safe driver from the start.
This is passing your driving test, Victor Horsman Limited, Liverpool.
With over 60 motor vehicles to every mile of classified road, Great Britain has the most congested roadways in the world. Small wonder that everyone has to pass a driving test before he's considered competent to drive. A great deal of nonsense is talked about the driving test, so let's emphasize right at the start that the test is perfectly fair and straightforward. There are no catches, no trick questions. Examiners do not fail a certain percentage regardless. The result does not depend on the mood of the examiner. These fallacies can usually be traced to applicants who failed and refuse to admit the real reason for their failure. And the real reason in 9 cases out of 10 is that they weren't ready and went for the test too soon, before they were sufficiently competent. The object of the test is clearly set out in the Ministry leaflet DL68. However little you mean to drive, if you pass the test, you'll get a license allowing you to drive anywhere in Britain, town or country. And the examiner must be satisfied that, whatever the traffic conditions, you can handle your vehicle with safety and with consideration for all road users, in the spirit of the Highway Code. One of the first essentials of test success is first-class instruction. Here's a pupil having the first lesson in the quiet and safety of the classroom. But whether or not you go to a proper school for all lessons, try to have a few at least from a properly qualified man. Before we go on to show you a typical driving test, let's take a look at some of the normal maneuvers the examiner will expect you to do. First, the question of signals given by drivers. The Ministry leaflet lays down that you'll be required to give by hand and by mechanical means, if fitted to the vehicle, in a clear and unmistakable manner, appropriate signals at appropriate times. And that even if your car's fitted with mechanical signalling devices, you'll be expected to demonstrate that you're competent to give the recognized hand signals clearly and in good time. And it also stipulates that, except when the examiner specially asks you to use hand signals, you can use either trafficators or hand signals during the test whenever necessary. And so that you'll be well able to demonstrate good hand signals, cultivate the habit of giving them clearly and accurately. I am going to turn to my right is this: arm straight out, horizontal, palm facing forwards, and hold it still for at least 3 seconds. I am going to turn to my left, clear and unmistakable if it's given properly. But a lot of drivers find difficulty in giving it properly. This shows the idea. Imagine you're trying to chalk circles anti-clockwise on an imaginary wall, and you'll get this effect on the road. I am going to slow down or stop is this: palm facing down. I am ready to be overtaken with the palm facing forward. And finally, signals to a point duty policeman. I want to go straight on with the hand flat against the screen so it can be seen in spite of reflections. I want to turn to my left, close to the screen again. I want to turn to my right, the same for a policeman as it is for following traffic. But don't make the mistake of thinking that giving the signal entitles you to turn. No matter how much this van driver protests that he gave a proper signal, it wasn't early enough and he didn't use the mirror. So signal well in advance, like this. The Ministry of Transport Chief Examiner has said that failure to make proper use of the mirror is responsible for a great many test failures. The reason's obvious, for if you slow down or swerve without regard for traffic behind, you risk causing danger or inconvenience to other road users. So watch the mirror and always make a point of knowing exactly what's going on behind. And in any case, remember that giving a signal and checking the mirror isn't the whole story of making a turn. Correct road positioning is equally important. Making a right turn, filter to the crown of the road, so as not to interfere with traffic wanting to turn left or go straight on. These examples show the importance of the proper signal and position, and it's even more important on fast roads like this. So filter well in advance. Wait at the center if necessary, and complete the turn like this. Don't take a short cut like this. It's much the same with a left turn. Filter to the near side well in advance and keep well in all the way round. And don't follow this path, swinging wide before turning. And don't swing out as you leave the turn. At these crossings, give way to pedestrians. Give the proper signal and stop. But change down and be ready to move off smartly as soon as all's clear. Many beginners find difficulty in restarting on a hill, usually because they haven't mastered the knack of holding the car stationary against the gradient by proper use of the clutch. Running back or a jerky getaway earns a black mark in the test. So practice until you can move off smoothly and easily, looking round and glancing in the mirror before you start. If you practice until you can get away like this without crushing the matchbox, you've nothing to fear. At some time during the test, you'll be asked to turn round in a fairly narrow road. As it says in the leaflet, you'll be expected to cause the vehicle to face in the opposite direction by use of forward and reverse gears. And the purpose is to see if you can control the vehicle in a limited space and use the clutch, accelerator and handbrake properly. So here's the procedure. Wait till all's clear. Don't attempt this sort of turn unless the road's deserted. And move off slowly, a final check in the mirror, and quickly get the steering round onto full lock. And keep on full lock until you stop a foot or so short of the curb. Use the handbrake to hold it there. And before you go back, check that it's safe behind and at both sides, and then slowly back, quickly reversing the steering. Stopping short of the curb again, using the handbrake. Check that it's safe and steer the car forward to its final position. One of the secrets of making a smart, efficient turn in a limited space is to get the steering quickly onto full lock before the car's moved a few inches. And we think it's best to cross the hands in this kind of tight maneuvering. If you prefer this method, use it by all means, but you'll have to work really hard to get the wheel over quickly enough. See how the rally driver holds the wheel. And in this kind of racing, called autocross, the hands have to work really hard. Although for normal main road driving, you'll probably find it best to hold the wheel like this. And we think it's best to leave the steering at full lock until you're right across the road. We know that many drivers prefer this way of reversing the lock towards the end of each movement. But you don't gain anything, and it's so easy to make the job harder if you misjudge it and apply the reverse lock too early. It's all too common for beginners to try this method and finish up still facing the way they started. And when you're turning in the road, don't bump against the curb like this. Because for one thing, this is a test of car control. And for another, you may one day, for all the examiner knows, want to turn when pedestrians are using the pavement. Or at a place like this where there's no curb to guide you. Normally, of course, the best way to turn around in the road is to reverse into a convenient side road and come out forwards. Pull up well past the opening and a couple of feet out from the curb. Reverse until the back of the car's almost reached the corner, and then quickly lock over the steering. Straighten up and continue slowly back. And when you come forward, don't forget to look right and left and right again before you come out. Get plenty of practice in reversing before you go for the test. If you want to overtake a slower vehicle, it's obviously vital to make sure that it's safe. So glance in the mirror, give a warning if necessary, overtake quickly and get back to your own side. But don't cut in too closely in front of the overtaken vehicle. It's a good tip to be able to see it in the mirror before pulling back to your own side. If you're thinking of overtaking another vehicle, especially a big one, don't follow too close behind. From this position you can't possibly see whether it's safe to draw at to overtake. So hang well back in this position until you can see that all's clear, and then ease the car gently out. During the test, the examiner will watch your reactions to anything like this. Otherwise, unless an emergency arises naturally during the test, you'll be tested in stopping the vehicle as in an emergency. The procedure will be explained to you by the examiner. Usually he shouts stop and bangs on the windscreen. In this case, there's no need to signal or to park neatly. Just pull up as quickly as you possibly can. But at all other times, park the car close to the curb. Bad parking causes danger, or at least inconvenience to others. Don't park on the approach to a pedestrian crossing. Or, of course, on the crossing itself. Or at a bus stop. And don't park by a continuous white line. Or near the brow of a hill or a humpback bridge. Or close to a junction. Or opposite another standing vehicle. This kind of thing's extremely dangerous on a faster road. Although the rule doesn't necessarily apply in city streets, in places where the police permit parking on both sides, such as here. And don't park near a bend. Or on busy roads, like these. Or on any road carrying fast-moving traffic. If there's a grass verge, use it. Even if it involves you in a walk, it'll avoid causing danger or inconvenience to others. If there is one, use a proper lay-by. If you have to park in a confined space, you'll find it easier to reverse into position. You can sometimes get a lot of help from reflections in a shop window. You can see in the glass how far you're away from the next car. But don't try to help another driver to park if you can see he's watching reflections. See how this well-meaning assistant's spoiling the driver's view of the reflection. But if there's no convenient shop window, get a friend to help like this, showing how far it's safe to go. If you find yourself parked like this, remember what we said before, quick with the steering and no time for reversing the lock. crossroads or road intersections of any kind, the examiner will watch to see if you take proper care. He'll expect you to reduce speed as necessary and to look right and left and right again before you proceed. Look right and left and right again. If you approach all doubtful crossings with your foot at the ready over the brake pedal, you'll have a much better chance of stopping in time if the necessity arises. Now that we've seen something of what's required, let's take a look at a test in progress. When you arrive for the appointment, the inspection of the papers will probably take place indoors. And then out to the car with the examiner, and the test is on. The eyesight test, you're asked to read a car number plate at 25 yards. If you can't, then the test is off. So if you wear glasses, don't forget them not only for the test, but whenever you drive. When this is over, sit quietly in the car and listen carefully while the examiner explains how he'll conduct the test and what he expects you to do. Before you move off, check the mirror and make sure that it's safe. A pedestrian crossing, a good signal, and be ready to move off smartly. A right turn, mirror and signal, and move over towards the road centre. Slowing down, a good signal. A left turn, mirror and signal again. Another right turn, and another good signal. And the normal safe driving position, 3 or 4 feet out from the curb. Another left turn, another good signal. And the reversing test. Pull up past the opening. Lock over quickly. Straighten up. And continue slowly back. And when you come forward, remember to look right and left and right again before you come out. Another right turn, check the mirror and keep an eye on those parked lorries in case anyone steps out from behind. And right at a halt sign, mirror and signal, and of course come to a complete stop. But be ready to move off promptly. The emergency stop, no need to signal. And a hill start. The overtake signal's recognised in the highway code when you're pulling into the curb. Before you move off, check the mirror, and of course, don't run back. The turn in the road, use the handbrake. Check that it's safe behind, and remember to be quick with the steering. And look right and left and right again before you come forward. Back towards the city. A left turn. Remember to keep well in. This is perhaps running a bit wide. A right turn at traffic signals. A good signal and position near to the road centre. Wait till it's safe. And a good position allowing that cyclist plenty of room. You'll be failed if you don't realise the need for that kind of care. A pedestrian crossing, keep the signal going as a warning to following cars. Another good signal. And back at test headquarters, parking the car as directed by the examiner. A few questions on the highway code shouldn't be difficult, as you ought to know the highway code almost by heart. If you've kept your head and had sufficient experience, you may get the welcome pink slip indicating a pass. And you'll be able to drive on your own for the first time. But remember, you've still a lot to learn. So continue to exercise every possible care.
Is it reasonable to expect anyone to start learning to drive in conditions like this? There must be an alternative. Here it is, a classroom where ideal conditions are created, calm, safe and controlled. Here, with the IDT Link Simulator, you get a thorough grounding in driving techniques. Once learnt, good habits are with you for life, and safe driving begins with the safety belt. The system's completely realistic, and the cars have all the working controls and instruments, all the feel of a modern motor car. The handbrake, gear lever, ignition, which starts the engine, just as in a real car, giving a live feel to the accelerator, the brake slowing it down with the same relationship to speed. The road you drive is on film, seen on a cinemascope screen in full color. When you need to reverse and look back over your shoulder, a mirror on each side of the seat reflects your view of the road behind, exactly as you would see it. As a visual aid, there are lights to remind you which gear you're in. First gear, second, third, fourth. And if you use your controls wrongly during a lesson, this shows up on your special personal error panel. The instructor switches on the film, complete with full sound effects and commentary, and is himself free to keep a watchful eye on his pupils. Let's see part of the first lesson dealing with the controls. Left foot up and right foot down. Good. Ready to change? Left foot down, right foot up. Change gear lever from bottom through neutral to second. Left foot up and right foot down. Now second to third. Left foot down, right foot up. Move gear lever from second through neutral into third. Left foot up and right foot down. Third to top. Left foot down, right foot up, change. Clear visual explanation. Right foot down. Now some early road work. Again, don't look at it. Note the driving mirror, bottom left of the screen, reflecting the road behind as in a real car. Check your indicator has cancelled. At the top of this road, you're going to turn right again, but this time it's a T-junction. And at this stage of your instruction, you always stop. Stand by. Look in your mirror. All clear. Put out your indicator. Take up your position in the road just left of center. Prepare to stop and keep your car straight. Handbrake on, into neutral. Look right, left and right again as you change into first or bottom. Keep clutch depressed. Handbrake off. Lift clutch, accelerate. Concise, friendly instruction stressing correct procedures. Clear roads to avoid any traffic complications. Now let's assume you are well advanced and jump forward to film 6, which has more difficult traffic conditions, and you concentrate on reading the road, signs, lights and road hazards. You have a pedestrian crossing ahead. As always, be prepared to stop. A car is going to park on your left. Take note of such things. The car you drive on the film always does the right thing. When you drive it correctly, no lights come up. But if a driving mistake is made, like not braking in time or wrong steering, a light shows the instructor which car is at fault. Now you're late putting out your indicator, and this shows on the computer and on your error panel, so that you're immediately aware of the mistake you've made and can correct it. What could lead to an accident on the road becomes a gentle reminder in the classroom. The instructor can see each error as it occurs, and each class of error is added up on the computer for each pupil. The totals constitute a planned record of progress, and individual weaknesses are immediately apparent. A big advantage of the system is that any part of the lesson can be stopped and rerun so that a particular road situation can be driven again. This is unique and valuable practice for the learner. Besides the responses programmed on the film,
the instructor can check his class further by putting in codes. A 30-mile-an-hour speed check here. And now a center steer check. And his personal knowledge of everyone's progress enables him to give individual attention whenever it's needed. Every year, something like 750,000 more cars come onto our roads. A lot of these new drivers will be youngsters. The earlier we begin teaching the right road values, the better. The obligations of every driver to other road users can best be learnt at school, where attitudes are formed and minds lively and used to learning. A progressive headmaster and the recommendations of the local road safety officer can bring about an installation like this, so that driving can become part of normal school education.
Our instructor says it's no good just being able to drive, so we're being taught the right approach. Good, safe, defensive driving. That's what he calls it.
Let's not forget, conditions like this are not ideal for learning, but lessons continue indoors, on schedule, uninterrupted, safe. The worry that you can't master the controls and the fear of possible accidents has previously stopped many potentially good drivers from starting lessons at all.
I can relax here and not worry about it. I thought I'd never be able to do all that business with the gears. My husband laughed, but now I can take my time. The instructor always seems to be there if I get confused, and I'm enjoying it all.
With driving, I can get promotion, so I came here. It's dark outside just now, but in here, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. It only rains when it's on the films, and I get all my lessons regularly, with no cancellations.
Within this series of lessons, the pupils get used to many different sorts of traffic conditions. They master the mechanics of driving, the rules of the road, and are now prepared to meet actual traffic with knowledge and experience. How does our young man feel about this?
I've a good bit to learn yet, but I've found that I know what to do next, what to look out for. Watch that bike. Someone on the zebra crossing. Mirror. Hand signal. Watch the lady. And a nice, gentle stop.
That was good. Now I want you to do a hill start.
That should be all right. I was good at that. Depress clutch, into first gear, gently up left foot and down right foot, and hold it. Handbrake slowly down. Oh, good, she's holding. Mirror, look over my shoulder.
The confidence gained by having started learning indoors under controlled conditions. And for our schoolboy, the knowledge that good driving habits have been built up throughout the course helps to overcome the nervousness felt by everyone taking the driving test.
So I did what they said, relaxed and concentrated. I'm sure my training indoors at school really stood me in good stead. Of course, I've left school now and I know I'm technically a bad risk, but with a driving course like this behind me and a bit more experience, they'll soon see that I can be a really safe driver.
And having passed the test, he'll continue to rely on his driving education for the rest of his life. Let's meet the Managing Director of IDT Link, Mr. Glyn Davis.
I hope you found this film both interesting and instructive. You know, in the quiet safety of the classroom, a pupil can acquire detailed knowledge of driving procedures, practical handling of the controls, and become involved in a variety of driving situations without any fear or apprehension. Basic training is best given in this atmosphere. The instructor in the classroom, not concerned with outside traffic and its hazards, can concentrate wholly on the development of your driving techniques. Now, our system builds up the proper attitudes and values. Only when pupils are able to assess road conditions for themselves and react safely and correctly can they begin practice out on the road. Do remember, priority number one is safety on our roads. This can only be achieved if our new drivers approach driving in the right way.